Hey gear seekers, I'm Nick. We're checking out an ITX Z590 board. Today we're checking out the Gigabyte Z590I AORUS Ultra. It's an itty bitty little ITX board, as I already mentioned, and it supports Intel's 11th and 10th gen CPUs. And as usual with our motherboard content, this is not a review. Let's get it. As I already mentioned, this video is not reviews, just an overview so we can take a look at the feature set of this little board here and all the things that come with this little board. There's a few little interesting videos with it, so without further ado, let's hop right in and take a bit of a look. Alright ladies and gents, it's time for us to check out the Z590I AORUS Ultra, a tiny little ITX Z590 board. But what are we going to do first? We've got to get it out of the box so we can take a bit of a closer look at all of the other little bitties that come with this tiny little ITX board. Alright, first up we've got the antenna for the built-in Wi-Fi 6. This is a pretty standard looking Wi-Fi antenna that you'll find with most Gigabyte motherboards. Next up are these little adapters. These are PWM fan adapters. This is actually pretty handy, and I'll explain why they've done this when we take a close look at the board. There's also a dual USB 2.0 header adapter cable. I'll also talk about this when we take a bit of a close look at the board, but them including two of these on an ITX board is very, very nice. There's also a 4-pin 12-volt RGB extension cable. There's screws and standoffs for the two M.2 slots that are on this board, which we're going to take a bit of a look at when we do take a closer look at this board. There's also a set of SATA or SATA cables for your 2.5-inch SSDs or your spinning rush drives. Because most motherboards are removing discs and they're not including USB sticks with the drivers, a lot of them will be shipping with these little pamphlets telling you where to download the drivers for your motherboard so you don't get lost. Next up is the user manual. The user manual shows you where everything is on the board, what everything does, and how to do a few things to configure stuff in the BIOS as well. This is handy for first-time builders and people who have built many computers. Last but not least is the greatest invention ever. It's a case badge, but not just any case badge, it's a magical case badge. It'll allow you to get 4 billion frames per second at 16K in Fortnite with ray tracing turned on. Pretty crazy that a sticker can do this, right? Alright, that was clearly a joke. Alright, let's unsheath the Z590I AORUS Ultra and take a bit of a closer look at what's on this board and what makes it special. Starting off at the bottom, there's a 3-pin 5-volt addressable RGB header and the front panel audio connector. It's kind of hidden away, and if you're not looking carefully, you might actually miss that it's there. There's also a 4x16 size PCIe Gen 4 slot only if you use an 11th gen CPU, because this board does support 11th and 10th gen CPUs with that Z590 chipset built in. There's the front panel connector for that dual USB 2.0 splitter cable. There's the front panel header for all your lights and your switches. There's a USB Type-C header. There's a 4-pin analog RGB header, a USB 3.0 header. There's also 4 SATA or SATA ports for your 2.5-inch SSDs or your spinning rush drive, and a 24-pin power connector to send all of that juice to your brand new Z590I AORUS Ultra. Now those PWM adapter cables actually plug into these 3 little ports on the left, and the reason why they've done this is to save space on the top of the PCB. It means they can include and cram way more stuff into the board, and it's actually quite an elegant way of doing it. They've been doing this for a little while with these boards, so it is nice that that's continuing. There's also another PWM fan header and an 8-pin EPS power connector. As far as VRM layout on this motherboard, it features a 10+1 phase digital VRM setup with 90 amp power stages. Now the interesting thing going on here is that the I/O cover is basically the entire heatsink for the VRM itself, as well as that heatsink along the top, which is attached by a heat pipe. Because this is a Z590 board, it does feature Intel's LGA 1200 socket, which supports 10th and 11th gen Intel CPUs. You will need an 11th gen CPU to take full advantage of PCIe Gen 4. If we flip the board over, you can see that it's got a backplate that covers almost all of the board. There's an RGB strip along the edge of the board as well. There's also an M.2 slot, which is only PCIe Gen 3 on the back side of the motherboard as well. Speaking of storage, let's pull off the giant heatsink on top of the board to reveal the single PCIe Gen 4 NVMe M.2 slot. So you can use Gen 4 NVMe's on this board, but only on this slot on the upper side of the board. It supports 64 gigs of DDR4 RAM at 3200 MHz across both slots. For rear I/O, we've got a USB Type-C port, a USB 3.2 port, some USB 2.0 ports for things like flashing a BIOS and mice and keyboards, which I would recommend using. Some more USB 3.2. There's also DisplayPort 1.2, HDMI 2.0. There's a Q flash button for flashing your BIOS. There's the now standard 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, some more USB 3.2, the antenna connectors for the built-in Wi-Fi 6, and also a microphone, a line out, and a line in jack. But you know what time it is, ladies and gents. It's B-roll time. Let's get it. Ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed this first look and overview of the Gigabyte Z590I AORUS Ultra. I almost said Pro Ultra, Claire. Imagine if it was a Pro Ultra, it'd have like flames and stuff shooting out of it. That'd be actually pretty cool. In terms of availability and all that jazz, I'm not sure about the release date. I'm guessing it's going to be soon or now, I don't know. But as for pricing, I could actually find some pricing for this one today, because if you wanted to grab this whenever this comes out, which is anybody's guess, it's going to go for around $279 US, or around 479 Australian dollars at the time of filming. Now those are the prices that I found. They may not be accurate when this actually comes out, but I think that's pretty close to a fair estimate, considering the Z490 version in Australian dollars is going for around 410 to 430 at the moment. So for it to cost a couple dollars more is no surprise. Anyways, guys, if you like the music you heard here, I make all the music. It's available over on Patreon. If you want to get early access to videos just like this one about this tiny little board, head on over to Floatplane. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. You peek, we seek. And I think, Claire,
hello,
that this is going to be your new motherboard in your new editing PC.
It's cute.
Claire loves ITX. She's got a Z390 board at the moment. She's Intel, guys. No. It actually makes no difference, guys. That's the main thing. It's just price that's usually the difference and the main factor here. Performance for everything is realistically, if you're actually going to be using the hardware and not just smashing up benchmarks to see who can get the highest number, you're not really going to notice the difference. It's all about the bottom line, and that is the price. But yeah, I think we're going to be building Claire's new ITX system with this. She loves ITX. She's currently got an ITX system. You can check out her build in the top right hand corner right now if you want. It's our most popular build video on the entire channel.
And don't complain about my RAM.
I mean, it's red RAM, right? Who cares?
It does what it's supposed to do. I don't care.
Red RAM, red RAM, red
Red
RAM. Red RAM, red RAM, red RAM.
Red RAM.
Red RAM. Red RAM.
Red RAM.
Oh, for those who were here yesterday's video, man, we're so far ahead, like compared to like when we're filming this. We're picking up Bindi today, I think. Maybe. Yeah, we're finding out what the deal is with the cat today, so maybe in the next video she'll be purring away all around the shop. I don't know, we'll see. Thanks for watching, I guess. I'm so